Pretty exciting topic for us here at Action Benefits. We're taking a look at a crash course in Section 125 plans, and it's exciting because it gives us an opportunity to really expand our practice as employee benefit pros. And when we expand our practice as employee benefit pros, you get to reap some of those benefits, right? You get to share in some of what we know, bring a new product or perhaps a new offering to some of your groups that can give them some savings, some tax advantages, helps you stay more competitive, helps you stay stickier with that group so it's tougher to get AOR'd on that group. Lots of good reasons to be invested in a plan like this. My name, if we have not met or have not talked in a while, is Randy Lober, Growth Marketing Manager here at Action Benefits. And part of my job, in fact, the most enjoyable part of my job, is things like this, where we get to bring our industry knowledge to you, help you all grow your practice, whether it's Medicare focused, employer group focused, and under 65 focused, or any or all of those things. And we give you the tools to help you succeed at that. My partner in crime today is Chelsea Gomez. Chelsea, say hi to the people before we get started, please.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for spending some time here with us today to learn about something a little different that normally you're here to talk plan details, talk marketing details. This is a little different today, right? We're going over something that's new for all of us. So I just want to welcome any questions that you have. Please throw them into the chat, into the Q&A. It is set up the chat for hosts and panelists first. So if you don't want to be the one to ask a question, it's okay. You can send them directly to us and we will answer them as soon as we can. But hoping that you learned something valuable for your groups today, save them a little money.
You will at least learn something valuable today. In fact, here is what you are going to learn today. We're gonna talk a bit about what Section 125 plans are. That's the whole crash course portion of this. We'll talk about why a group might want one of these, and you'll see a pattern here building on. We'll talk about what kind of groups are a good fit. There are a lot of groups that these uh, strategies and these products can be a really good fit for. There's a few that they're not a great fit for. We'll talk through some of those here as well. We'll talk about some practices around implementation and when you might want to think about that with your groups. And we'll also talk a bit about where you can find help to get this done, because there is a text document. If there's legal documents that need to be put in place here, let us know how we can help. So we're going to start with that crash course portion. We're going to talk first about the first of 5 questions that we want to address today. What are Section 125 plans? And in simplest terms, ladies and gentlemen, what they do is they allow employees, not employers, employees, to pay for certain benefits with pre-tax dollars, which reduces their taxable income. All good news. We should point out, if anybody's worried about scope of practice concerns, is that when we talk about Section 125 plans, these are not an insurance product. It's a tax vehicle, a tax strategy that works alongside group health plans and vision, dental plans, so on and so forth. So what we're talking about here today, you're not going to see numbers. That's in terms of tax calculation and so on and so forth. That's outside our scope of practice, unless you're a CPA or an accountant outside of your scope of practice. But what's important for us all to be able to know is to generally what these are and generally how they work, so we can introduce folks to your groups, rather, and your stakeholders to the folks who can help make those things happen for them, and understand how these play together with benefits. So the big thing is here is it's a vehicle to allow employees to contribute to their benefits with pre-tax dollars. Big takeaway here. There's 3 common types of Section 125 plans you'll see. One of them you might see without even being aware of it. Let's talk about what those 3 types are. Probably where we are going to get our start here today, and where many of you are going to take your first foray in here, are what's called premium only plans, or POP plans. Those allow employees to pay their health premium and some other premiums, namely dental and vision. You can also fit some other supplemental coverage in there too, depending on the structure of the benefit, and that's a more nuanced conversation for another day. But again, it allows employees to pay their health premiums pre-tax. It's the most common and simplest type of this arrangement to get started for you. The second one actually is FSAs required the group to set up a Section 125 plan. It's the tax vehicle, the tax strategy that allows employees to set aside their pre-tax funds for those healthcare expenses or for dependent care. You can do either, you can do both as you set those up. And again, those FSAs are those yearly savings accounts, right? It's not like an HSA where money rolls over, you can invest the money and it grows. It's like a yearly allowance that both employee and employer can contribute to. Employer contributions are always pre-tax in this case. Employee contributions can only be pre-tax with the addition of the Section 125 plan. And you've likely seen them discussed otherwhere, cafeteria plans. Well, what is it? What do you do at a cafeteria? You pick and choose the benefits you want. You pay for the things you need. Just like if I were to go downstairs to the cafeteria here, I can grab a little bit of this, grab a little bit of that. Cafeteria plan allows employees to do the same thing with a lot of benefits on a voluntary basis. Really combines that premium only plan, usually with an FSA. Gives employees a lot of choices in the benefits that they want to choose and use, and is really the vehicle that a lot of larger firms use to help offer their benefits. Larger firms talking 50 plus or so. In those cases, we're going to spend the most time here talking about premium only plans and bleed into FSAs here a little bit in case you have groups that are interested there. But those, we're going to spend more time here on the left side of our screen. If we didn't get this question yet, if it wasn't going through your head, want to address this here as well. For HSAs, health savings accounts, and HRAs, health reimbursement arrangements, Section 125s are not required to offer either of those plans, but they do have their own separate legal requirements. So an HSA comes with its own set of hurdles and paperwork. If you work with Health Equity through Blue Cross Blue Shield or Priority Health or Blue Care Network, you know that already. Same on the HRA side. It's a different tax vehicle. It's an IRS Section 102 that you need to set up to make the HRA all above board. Section 125s do not do that for you. Section 125s only allow for pre-tax deductions. So specifically for HSAs, having a Section 125 established, so this legal framework drawn up allows the employee to elect HSA contributions to come out of their paycheck pre-tax, so it's a payroll deduction. Without that Section 125, the employee would deduct their contributions when they file their taxes. So if TurboTax takes them through the questionnaire, they ask if you have an HSA, they ask what you might have paid into it. Out there, that's when they do that. So the Section 125 does allow it to be a little bit easier to fund an HSA in that case, as you work with the payroll company or the group works with the payroll company, but you still get the tax advantage benefits either way. Chelsea, I know you wanted to comment something here about HSA contributions as well.
It doesn't. I do want to make sure we highlight that this doesn't take away the other benefits of having an HSA in the first place. I know that in our HSA course that we do about once a year, we talk about how one of the benefits of an HSA is that it's not the people who can contribute are not limited, right? The only people who cannot contribute to HSAs are those who are not in a high deductible health plan, like Medicare and what have you. Again, time for another show. But having the Section 125 doesn't negate those benefits, right? So someone can still have that Section 125 set up and then not necessarily have that benefit taken away of having someone else contribute to their HSA. Another thing I was thinking while we were talking about this is you're not going to necessarily have to explain all of these things to the client, right? You're not the tax expert. So yes, these things are all good to know, but don't be afraid of hearing all this stuff and saying, oh, I don't know if I'd be comfortable talking to all these groups. You don't need to be. It's okay. We're just telling you this so you can understand.
Yeah, we are giving again the crash course here for you all. So if you're more of a visual person, right, and that we just said a lot of words to you about how these work, the garden hose splitter is a really nice, we think, visual analogy for how this all works here as well. What that Section 125 plan does is it allows you to take money out, again, pre-tax. Let me put my mouse cursor on the right screen so you can see what I'm doing. But what it allows you to take money out pre-tax to pay for your health expenses over there. So it allows both the employee to reduce their tax burden and upstream. It allows the employer to reduce their tax burden, their payroll taxes, as long as that money is put toward the premiums in this case. And then taxes would be paid on that lower amount, your FICA taxes, so on and so forth. Um, if you are the visual person, you need to see kind of where the income stream or where the tax stream is actually physically diverted here. That, it's another nice example of how to show that. And that gives us a really good hint as to why a group might want a Section 125 plan. And at its core, it's really a win-win for everyone involved. Employees win because they have more take-home pay. Because again, they're able to contribute pre-tax. That money those contributions reduce their taxable incomes, which puts more money in their paycheck later on when they do get paid. And again, because they're paying those contributions come out pre-tax, they're getting the same benefits at less cost, right? They haven't already been taxed on that money when they're paying for it. And again, it does work to reduce their taxable income. So it can help to provide some tax savings and protect money from Uncle Sam for employees who are interested in such things. Everybody always feels good about a better paycheck or a bigger paycheck. Employers win because it reduces their payroll taxes, specifically their FICA obligations, so their federal Social Security taxes. So about 7.5%, right, is what they pay on every dollar that they put into. They pay their employees by using the Section 125 plan. That money again comes out, or those premiums comes out tax-free or pre-tax. The employer only gets taxed on the subject of, or the section of the payroll that is subject to taxes there. And when you're offering the Section 125 plan, I'm giving you access to perhaps voluntary benefits, voluntary dental and vision, or I am giving you this tax-free vehicle to pay for your portion of the health premium. That helps me as an employer attract and retain talent because I'm using a reasonably sophisticated benefit strategy to help take care of you. It shows as an employer that I have a commitment to my employees and doing things the right way. So there's a win on both sides of the aisle here. We like to, as we talk about these, showing you the default path without a Section 125, what many of your groups are probably experiencing right now and comparing that to what happens with the Section 125 is also a helpful conversation. So if you follow me across the top of your screen here, without the Section 125 plan, the employee goes to work, clocks in, clocks out, earns their salary or their hourly wage, whatever the case might be. And as usual, taxes come out, federal, state, FICA taxes, so on and so forth. And they're paying those insurance premiums with the after-tax dollars. So they've already been taxed, and they have to spend a little bit more of that smaller piece of pie on their premium. With the Section 125 in place, there's a few more steps here, but they're good steps to take. The employee does earn their salary, but again, the premium comes out before taxes are calculated on that salary. So whatever their responsibility is on the employer health plan, or whatever their premium responsibility might be on the dental or vision plan, all comes out before any taxes calculated. So now there's less taxable income in place. Taxes are calculated based on that smaller amount. The employee's paying less in taxes, putting more in their pockets. And again, the employer is paying FICA taxes on that smaller amount. So in short, again, everybody is saving money on taxes. Premiums are paid before taxes here. And again, it's a win-win for the employer and the employee.
I'm glad you worded it that way because the first time I ever explained it to somebody before I practiced explaining it to somebody, they were like, well, no, I still want to make sure my taxes are paid. What are you talking about? You're still paying taxes. You're just paying it on a smaller amount because you are kind of carving out that money to pay for the premiums and what have you that's this Section 125 is setting up to do.
Yes, exactly right. And beyond the tax savings, there's a few other things that might get an employer hooked on a tax vehicle like this. First is recruitment and retention, right? It helps attract and keep good employees in competitive markets. Admittedly, the market is a little less competitive now when you're looking for employees. It's very much the employer-friendly market, not less an employee-friendly market. So maybe recruitment and retention isn't their top focus here at the moment because employees just aren't moving as much at the moment. But still, for employers or those sectors of the economy that are growing and need to focus on recruitment and retention, pretty good selling point here. The other thing it does is it help again, as we mentioned earlier, it demonstrates some sophistication and some additional attention to care in detail on the employer's part. So it really helps to mimic those benefits offered by larger firms. And for when you offer voluntary dental or voluntary vision completely, they can offer some kind of benefit at $0 to the employer beyond the Section 125 setup fees, which I'll show you in a moment, are fairly reasonable to consider. So if I can offer dental and vision at no cost out of the employer paycheck, and I'm showing, taking advantage of the strategy, I'm showing, my employees that I value them or want to offer them something, even if I can't offer them a full health package yet, that's another win-win, right? For that recruitment and retention. And again, because the Section 125 reduces the employees' taxable income, puts money back in their pocket. You get more satisfaction of that. Everybody loves a paycheck. Everybody loves a raise. And the coolest part about this is it doesn't cost the employer rather, any extra money other than the Section 125 setup fees. It gives everyone a little bit of money back in their pocket going forward. We've talked for a bit about Section 125s here. Want to check in with you, make sure we're all on the same page here. What do you see as some advantages of establishing a Section 125 plan? Is it A, employees can contribute to benefits on a pre-tax basis? B, employees can set aside funds in an FSA when you have a 125 set up? Is it C, employers can contribute to benefits on a pre-tax basis? Or D, employers can fund marketplace premiums via Section 125. Go ahead and put the letters that are best match your thinking in the chat here. We'll talk about some of these options, which ones are more correct, which ones are less correct, which might be a misconception here in just a moment. Please stick your letters in the chat.
You can always tell when we had the idea that we wanted more than one answer because we'll both say a letter or letters. So take that as the hint that there might be more than one correct answer here.
We have some folks stepping out on limbs here. We have a mix of A and B. We have a C thrown in there as well. Some just A's, some just B's, and very, very much so, and totally fine with us. A lot of that's coming in privately. That's okay. This is a good time to test some thinking, have questions answered here.
This isn't like your other things that you do where you have a basis of knowledge to go off of. Like you're truly absorbing new material here, so it's totally okay.
Yeah. If you were saying letter A, that employees can contribute to benefits on a pre-tax basis, you're correct. That is the big selling point. It's what I've said, what we've said a few times throughout here. If you said letter B, you're also correct. The Section 125 is necessary to set up the FSA for those health expenses or for dependent care expenses. You need you need the 125 in place in order to set those contributions. Letter C in this case is incorrect. Employers can contribute to benefits on a pre-tax basis. In fact, without the Section 125, generally speaking, the employer contribution to those benefits is already tax deductible. If they're not deducting those yet, make sure that your groups are talking to their accountant about how to do so. Again, talk with their tax pros to optimize that. That can be some immediate savings for them, especially in a time where renewals tend to look worse than they do better. Make sure you're helping your groups take advantage of every last dollar they can squeeze, and making sure they're deducting premiums if they can is a really good start. Last one, letter D, employers can fund marketplace premiums via Section 125. We're alluding to ICHRAs there. In this case is an incorrect response. Section 125 does not set up the HRA part of that, the health reimbursement arrangement of that. That's, again, a Section 102, a separate vehicle that you need to put in place there to make the ICHRA happen. Chelsea, I know you had a few more thoughts on ICHRAs here as well.
Yeah, the setting up the Section 125 does not make it function as an ICHRA, right? An ICHRA is a totally separate thing. But Randy said, there is a different vehicle that you can use if you wanted to set up something like that for your employees, but you cannot use the Section 125 to do that.
Right. All right, onward, upward. Who is a good fit? Who makes sense for these products? Let's talk about size. Let's talk about industry here and what this sweet spot might be. Works for any group size, generally speaking, but especially valuable for your groups of 5 to 100. So, i.e., most of the groups that you support, most of the groups that are a co-broker book of business, all of them are potentially a pretty good fit here, with a few exceptions we'll talk about here in just a moment. Larger groups with sophisticated benefits already in place probably already have something like this in place. But if you do have, that large group that's that's experience rated, good idea to maybe have the conversation about this at the next renewal or prior to the next renewal. See if they already have it in place. See if you can help take advantage of it. If not, what industries fit? Any industry can work. Any business with W-2 employees and offering health or ancillary benefits can use a Section 125 plan. There are no industry limitations. It's not like you are offering dental insurance to a hockey team or things like that, where there might be some questions. Any industry can use it here. Really, the sweet spot, though, is for those group businesses that are looking to scale. They may be at a spot where they need to start professionalizing their benefits, right? Offering a more comprehensive package, or they are looking to attract and retain talent. Anyone that's in growth mode is a really good fit for these. They're going to realize some of those tax savings right away. Generally speaking, speaking of that growth mode, there's a few other profiles as we were brainstorming that we think might be good fits here as well. That first upper left, the cost-conscious employer, you are working with groups that have been hit with 15, 18, 20% increases all, over the past 3 years, right? Things are coming out of, that's not a sustainable increase for them necessarily. If they're looking for an immediate way to cut some costs, again, not a huge cost savings, all things considered, but if they're looking for ways to cut costs, taking advantage of a new tax strategy here could help them do that, especially in the smaller groups. If you do work with employers that happen to be especially employee focused, they want to take care of their employees. They want to put more money back in their paycheck. Again, you can tap into that altruistic side when you make the sale here, saying, hey, Uncle Sam doesn't need all that money. I've got a way to help you take care of it. As talked about in the last slide, we talked about companies that are scaling up and need to attract some more talent or retain their talent to match their competitors. You might not always be able to offer the same benefits that maybe an Amazon does or something else, but you can get pretty darn close, right? By using a Section 125 and picking and choosing maybe a voluntary dental or a contributory dental plan that you can throw in here. And also a good fit for stable workforces, things that are, where there's lower turnover. The employees have been there a while. The boss again wants to show them, or the owner wants to show them a token of appreciation. Putting money in the paycheck is the best way you can show me appreciation, right? There's no matter anywhere where I work, it's a good opportunity to do that there. There are some businesses that they may not be a good fit for. First case that sticks out is businesses with very high turnover, seasonal or temp workforces, generally speaking. Because it does take a little bit of admin fees to get the summary plan description printed, to get all the right benefits in their hands. There's a point where you have too much turnover to make the cost savings worth it. And if they do have very high turnover, that's probably not a good fit here. If the firm tends to use more 1099s than they do W-2s, again, they may not see all the benefits here. Those 1099s can come and go, and on a 1099, you're not taking any payroll deductions out there, right? 1099s are paid in a different way. So there may not be a good fit. If you have extremely small groups we think, as we kind of run the numbers here, and I'll show you some costs here in a moment, probably the threshold is somewhere between 4 and 5. Greater than 5 Section 125 can fit well for, but if you have a micro group, like the 2 to 4 W-2 employees, the admin costs might outweigh the savings here in some cases. So be mindful of that. And also, if you have, you're working with the group, the employees are already earning at a low tax bracket, and putting that, where a few dollars in tax savings might not make the difference for them. That might not be a great fit for these either. So if there is lots of volatility in the workforce, or the group is very small, or if the employees already aren't earning much here, there's, like I said, perhaps not a lot of utility there. When can you implement these? Can you do it anytime you want? And generally, we find it's easier to make everything kind of line up deduction-wise and so on and so forth. When a new plan year hits, you'll probably, especially as you start talking to your groups for renewal seasons, maybe you have some 4-1s coming up. Maybe you have an eyeball toward July 1st and figuring about how these fit into your pitch for your 7-1 groups. Renewals are a great time to have this conversation, right? And talk about, hey, we know you've been getting hit with these increases over and over again. I want to introduce you to a strategy that can help you save a little on taxes and make that renewal a little less painful. What do you say? We also think you can have some good success, building the Section 125 into your proposal for new business, right? All things being being equal, if you come in with a plan, and they're also talking to another agent about a plan, they're shopping around, and you're the one that comes in with that tax savings, the way to show, get a little bit of extra money, a little bit of mileage on the same plan. I'm going to go with the person who's showing that little more expertise in that case, right? So, always a good opportunity to, include that in your quoting proposals there. Mid-year changes, for a lot of reasons, especially changing payroll deductions, so on and so forth, it can be kind of messy to do in the middle of a planned year. Our vendor partner, iSolved, would have more to say on that, but I think that while it's not impossible, I think we'd actively discourage you from attempting to do so in the middle of a planned year, especially for groups that are smaller and perhaps less sophisticated in their payroll offerings. If they're still doing payroll, by hand, and on napkins and things like that, it'd be tough to make this change in the middle of the year, right? But again, your renewals or with new business quotes, we think there's a really solid fit here. We do say that plans do require a good deal of documentation. That you have to have your summary plan description in place. There's some specific language and documentation that goes along with this Section 125. Always a good idea to have the vehicle for taking money out of the payroll in place before the new coverage comes into place. So you'll want to, if you get that renewal 90 days beforehand, you want to start talking about the Section 125 right on, 90 days out. So that gives you time to talk about implementation, have the employee work with their payroll vendor, whoever it happens to be, and gives you time to educate employees and, adjust the payroll and work through that here as well. So if you're going to have the conversation, when you have the conversation, always we would recommend bring it up with the renewal. Don't wait until the last minute. It does take some time to get through, depending on the size of the group. There's some discrimination testing that has to happen as well, which we'll talk about in just a moment. All of that requires a little bit of time. Moral of the story is act early, act often. Because every month without a Section 125 is lost tax savings for your groups. And that implementation process, which we'll introduce you here in just a moment, is pretty straightforward. Everything does require time. Employees are going to notice and appreciate their increased take-home pay, and especially if they're looking to keep folks on board and happy, that's worthwhile. But perhaps the best reason I can give you to start thinking about these sooner rather than later is it strengthens your position as a comprehensive benefits advisor. You go from being just the Blue Cross guy or gal or the insurance guy and gal to someone who can really sit side by side and say, I'm looking out for your business. I'm going to show you how to save some money here. And that helps the group stay sticky with you, right? It is harder to get AOR'd if the group has multiple lines of business with you, and you've shown them ways to save money, shown them creative ways to work with their benefits. Really can't emphasize enough that as Action continues to evolve, and we help you all continue to evolve, that as we think about being employee benefit pros, Section 125 plans are going to probably become a bigger portion of where we see the market going, where we see our business going forward, because of all the advantages they bring at a relatively accessible price point for folks. So, Randy, that sounds like a really good idea, but I'm not a tax pro, and you've mentioned that you have pros that I can talk to. Who can I talk to? How can I get help? I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm going to tell you where you can get that help. And I should mention right away that professional help in this case does matter. The group probably can go online and find, like a LegalZoom equivalent to filling out a Section 125 and check off some things here. But professional help matters because you're going to need that formal plan document establishing the 125. You'll need the summary plan description. You're going to need to figure out and document what benefits employees are electing here. There's got to be some non-discrimination testing here. Meaning, as you establish different classes of employees, say salary versus hourly workers, or management versus line workers, or so on and so forth, you've got to make sure that the benefits offered to those, you're not discriminating with those benefits. And offer the Section 125 requires that as well. And of course, like all things insurance, like all things legal, like all things tax, there's record keeping involved. So we always recommend that you do work with a professional. Our preferred vendor is iSolved Benefit Services. This here is their flyer. We are happy to put these in your hands here as well to help you have that conversation with the groups. Big things are here on the flyer. They tell you everything. I just told you here about the group. You add a valuable benefit. You decrease payroll taxes, boost loyalty, morale, so on and so forth. There is a $140 annual fee that iSolved collects, and that's really to maintain all the documentation we talked about in the last slide. There is a $225 initial setup fee as well, where you get that plan implementation outline. You get forms allowing for salary reductions and the enrollment forms. You get your summary plan description, your plan documents. You get your non-discrimination testing. If the group is governed by a board of directors, they'll package up the resolution to have the board approve that for you there as well as the POP plan adoption document. So fairly reasonable cost for a lot of legal work that you don't have to or may not want to do. And gosh, that sounds pretty complicated, but your role in that process is pretty simple. Your role simply is to identify opportunities, figure out who could be a good fit for a Section 125, and then sell them on the concept, right? To say, I think you could save some tax money, and here's how. Then you refer the money over to iSolve using the form we already have established for you. And Chelsea, if you could go dig that out for us, that would be a great thing to have on hand for this particular session as I'm thinking about it here. And you stay involved, right? As a trusted advisor, you're still providing help to the group. You're still helping with their health benefits. You're still helping them, select which dental and vision packages make sense for them. You're staying involved. iSolved is simply taking off the legal elements of the 125 off your plate. So they'll handle the plan documents. They'll make sure everything is compliant. They'll manage the implementation with the group and provide some ongoing administration. And if there are technical questions about, are my benefits discriminatory, or can I help? Can I do this? Can I offer it this way? iSolve answers all those questions for the groups as well. So really, you're making the introduction. iSolve does the work. And the process is pretty easy. We encourage you to get started by looking at your book of business, figure out who is renewing soon. That fits some of those profiles we discussed, and think about how you might get this conversation started. Do start that conversation at renewal time. Use that 60 to 90 day window. I should fire my editor. It's me. Use that 60 to 90 day window to introduce the Section 125 plan. Bring it up to groups, how they can save money here on taxes here, reduce employee taxable income, and put money back in the employer pocket. refer the opportunity to iSolved. Chelsea just put that form in the chat for you. They'll provide final pricing, handle all the implementation support, and in addition to whatever you might earn from the commissions for selling the health products to the group, the health, dental, and vision, for every product that is sold to through us by referring to iSolved, we are happy to give you a $100 bonus as a token of our appreciation for your work in doing so. So we are not here for a long time today. We are here for a good time. Hopefully it's been a good time. Let's talk about where we went today, and then we'll open up the floor for any questions you might have. What are 125s? They are plan documents that allow for pre-tax premium payments, things like premium-only plans, FSAs, or cafeteria plans. Why do you want them? Because they're tax savings for both the employers and the employees. Employees reduce their taxable income. Employers reduce their FICA taxes. It's a win-win for everyone involved. It's a great fit for your small to medium businesses with stable W-2 workforces. When you do it, 60 to 90 days prior to renewal. So as soon as the renewal is out, start having the conversation. Make that referral to iSolve so they can stand up to Section 125 for you. And again, we do encourage you to work with us, work with your account managers, Colleen and Paula here as well. They can help connect you with iSolve and answer any other questions you might have about these plans going forward. We are coming up near the end of our 45 minutes here together today. We do have some time for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, but should you need to get going here today, you can always find Action Benefits on LinkedIn at the Action Benefits Company. Find us, you can email Chelsea and I at learning@actionbenefits.com. Happy to answer more questions or put that iSolve flyer we show in your hands here as well. And you can reach anyone on the Action team at 248-356-8585. Brenda will be happy to answer the phone and put you in the ears of whoever it is that you'd like to talk to.
I did get one question sent directly to me, and it was asking about what type of businesses, if there's any limits on like, oh, there's certain type of businesses that cannot use a Section 125. And no, as long as you have employees that can utilize the 125, it's not like, oh, like I don't know, like a restaurant serving alcohol. Like there's no limits to what types of businesses can utilize a Section 125.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to the sweet spot. The sweet spot is anybody with at least a handful of W-2 employees that you'll want to offer it to. Industry does not matter here in this case.
Right. There might be times where it's not advantageous. It might not come out in the wash for how much it would cost to set it up, but it's not like limited by type of business or industry.
Correct. Correct.